to Atypical Talk. This is a podcast where we have conversations that illuminate the intersection of faith, culture, and the common spaces of our humanity. I'm Abby.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Allison.
And we're starting off by asking, do you think you could go a month without your phone?
Nope.
And why or why not?
No.
Do I have any other form of communication?
I'm gonna say
let's qualify
I have
this.
questions.
I'm
yeah.
going to say you can use, you can't use your laptop or your iPad to text people, but you could still use, Facebook Messenger, I guess.
Oh,
Okay.
we're only
Okay.
Facebook Messenger?
I don't know. What
so
other
funny.
email?
Well, because
Email.
I have a kid that lives in Florida now, so
Yeah.
if I don't have my phone, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm a no. But if I had another way maybe to communicate with her or
Yeah.
talk to her, then I would consider it.
Mm-hmm. What if you went a month just solely without social media? Do you think you could do that?
Yeah, that I
Yeah.
could do.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't work here.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the hard part is I think about not only communicating, texting, call. Ask me if I can go a month without a phone call.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I can do that. But it's just such a tool,
Yeah.
and with work and with connecting with people, and I mean the amount of my week that is connecting with people, checking in with people, celebrating with people, grieving with people, because I saw it on social media.
Yeah.
It's pretty staggering.
Yeah.
The amount of connections I make because of that. And I'm not only talking oh, it's their birthday.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
give them that. But it's oh, they're going through something, or they had a challenge, or they're celebrating something, or they had a huge life change. And I would not know that from standing up on a stage on Sunday morning, but I can know that because of social media. So that's a tool. The other one is my calendar on my phone. It runs my life, in a lot of ways. I was just I have 9 different appointments or things that are on my calendar today as we record, and I'm what would I do?
You use paper
I would
and a pencil.
I would walk around. I would walk around with this notepad,
With a planner.
Oh,
Yes,
Yeah.
you would.
Don't take me back there to the 1900s.
I was going to say, life would be so different if
It
we
would
were
be so
working in the
different.
90s right
Yes.
now. This would be
It
It
crazy.
is so wild. But if you ask the question would I be healthier without being on social media as much as I am? Yes, I would be. And I think it's a double-edged sword, but there's a lot of sword stabbing
yes.
with that. And it's also funny, do you guys find that if you ever accidentally leave without your phone or you don't have your phone, do you live with this ridiculous fear of the what if somebody needs to get a hold of me right now? I think about that with my kids all the time right now too. Or if Megan has the kids and I don't have the kids, I'm oh man, I need to have my phone, because I live in this but what if something does happen right now and they can't get a hold of me in this moment? I live with that fear, and I know it's 99.9% irrational, but it is real for me. So I struggle to be away from my family without my phone, or to have Megan be away without having her phone too, because I live with that. We're going to need to get a hold of each other right now, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's where I am sometimes.
Yeah. No, I get stressed. My phone dies, Lucas's phone, one of my siblings, what if something happens and you need to go get a hold of someone and your phone's dead, or you accidentally make a wrong turn and suddenly you don't have directions, all those ridiculous things. Yeah.
Which is so funny because I
You
grew
grew
up with no
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah.
I'm old. And so, there are other times, though, that I'm oh, this is kind of freeing. Nobody can get a hold of me.
Yeah.
This
Off the grid.
this is the life.
Yeah.
But yes, at the same, on the other hand, I am also,
fear of.
what if my kids need something?
We had a situation, it's ridiculous, but it's coming to mind now. But it was this last spring, we had some really bad storms and a tornado warning one evening, and we ended up having to get all 3 of our kids out of bed and get them into the basement because it was a tornado sighting in our community, and it was really, really loud, and we lost power, and then we're down in our basement, and I was just trying to see, get an update, how long is this going to be?
Yeah.
Trying to open my weather app. I was trying to text my brother and my mom to see what they were doing and if they were okay and stuff. And I had no service down in our basement, and then we had no cell service in our neighborhood, and we had no internet, no power, and it was that first time in a long time I'm I am out of the loop, and is this tornado warning done? Should we all be back in our beds because the power's still out? But we had no information, and that powerlessness
You
was
used to have
not
a weather
cool.
radio.
Yeah.
We didn't. That was the other thing. We ordered a weather radio the next morning because we were completely out.
Yeah.
Because I kept trying to go to wwki.com and stream the radio, but we couldn't even get that. We didn't have an old school radio. Anyway,
we
it was
still
just
have a boom box.
it was a wild thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am out of the loop and I don't know how to know if we're okay now.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, our first topic, it's a conversation article titled Burned Out by Smartphones. Young people are choosing flip phones, cameras, and MP3 players instead. Smartphones have absorbed nearly every single-purpose gadget, alarm clocks, cameras, MP3 players, maps, and more, into one convenient device. But this convenience has come at a cost. As phone use climbs, many teens and young adults are experiencing digital burnout from constant notifications and algorithmic feeds. In response, a growing number of people, especially those most embedded in digital work and culture, are turning back to single-purpose devices like dumb phones, standalone cameras, MP3 players, and e-readers. This isn't nostalgia so much as a deliberate move towards tools that support focus and intentional living rather than nonstop engagement. Research backs up the benefits of this shift. Limiting social media to about an hour a day has been shown to reduce anxiety, depression, and FOMO while improving sleep, and one study found that blocking internet access on phones for 2 weeks led 91% of participants to report better mental health, sharper attention, and life satisfaction comparable to reversing a decade of cognitive decline. Even extreme examples like Swedish detention centers issuing internet-free basic phones show that removing constant connectivity quickly changes behavior for the better. For those curious about disconnecting without going cold turkey, the article suggests simple swaps such as using an e-reader for books, a standalone alarm clock, or a dedicated music player, or trying moderate steps like screen time tracking apps or grayscale display settings as a way to reclaim time and attention from the endless scroll. Do you think you guys could go, just having like an MP3 player or like an iPod, something like that? Yeah. I feel like, because those stuff, they wouldn't have Spotify on it. I'd have to go through and download all that. That feels like too much work.
What if it was, what if it was an iPod with all of the Apple Music library or all of Spotify on it, and it's all it had? So there's still the single use thing.
I probably could if it was like that, but
I would if I had a phone too.
I just think it's interesting that like the people leading this conversation and this shift aren't older generations who
look at those
are,
dang kids.
complaining about smartphones. It's people who grew up with this technology and know it better than anyone really. So yeah, I don't think they're rejecting like the innovation. I think they're rejecting the distraction that it causes. So to me anyways, this conversation isn't necessarily about dumb phones versus smartphones. It's more about like our attention deficits. I don't know what
our deficits, but also like the burnout that comes from always being stimulated. I think I've just found over the last 2 or 3 years, if I take a week of vacation, it tends to take me to the first 2 days of the trip for me to like almost come down,
detox
from the constant need or the constant like I have to fix this and go to do this and meet this person and prepare this, create this. Yeah. It's almost like the way my wife describes it is like you just, it's Wednesday, you finally came down, and that's a Joel problem. That's a me problem. But I think it's an us reality that so often just the pace and as many distractions and messages we're getting, it's frying us from really being present. And to Allison's point, that this being people that are on the whole younger than 3 of us that are leading this, I mean, they're seeing the elder generation get addicted to this stuff, and when they see it in other people, they're like, oh, I don't want to be like that either. And it's encouraging that people are seeing the mess that we're making of this, and they want to tell a different story. But it doesn't help me from I'm scratching my neck like an addict or whatever from where I am right now. But I think it's totally pointing to a deeper reality of our attention deficit, our burnout from being constantly attached. I mean, last night I was at a group setting, and a younger person in the group talked about like they can't watch TV or they can't read anything without having another screen.
They're multitasking.
There's like at least 2 forms of media going at all times. A couple years ago, I saw the British band, the 1975, in concert, and they had this moment where the lead singer came out with an acoustic guitar and sang this really pretty song, but on the screens they were like scrolling advertisements like it was a TikTok video to try to get you to pay. I was like, this is too much. Oh, it's a sensory overload. But that's honestly how a lot of people are digesting media, and they're taking in media now, which I think we are not created to be that stimulated all the time. And this is a move to be like, less is more. Which sounds really intriguing and really challenging when you're so plugged in.
Well, and you talked about advertisements. Like, there are billion-dollar companies fighting for our attention constantly. Yet every social media you have has ads.
And all they're trying to do is get you to stay on there longer, too.
Yes. So many things. And so I think that is just also so difficult, especially, when we turn this conversation to, being Jesus followers, maybe like that attention matters, because we're constantly, what we're paying attention to shapes us, who we are. So if every quiet moment we have gets filled with us scrolling, it's hard to cultivate that like silence and that time to reflect and that time to listen present, and like people don't know what it's like to be bored anymore.
Boredom.
But that's where like creativity and growth and those kinds of things actually begin. So at some point you gotta be bored.
Well, like last weekend I went with some of my sisters and my husband. We went to Holiday World and we went camping and stuff, and we only had one power bank to charge all of our phones.
Living on the edge.
So our phones weren't charged the entire time, so we got creative when we were standing in lines waiting, making up games and stupid stuff to do to keep us entertained while we waited. We got very creative with it, but it just made us realize, this is what we do when we're bored. We make up dumb stuff, but it was fun.
So I don't think everybody needs to like throw away their smartphone or anything, but I think it's cool that this article, this conversation, whatever, is more people asking like, is this tool helping me to live the life I actually want to live? Instead of just doom scrolling.
And I think examining this instead of just being like, well, this is what everybody does. It's really the genesis, the beginning of us really living in a healthier way, because we should not just go with the flow. This is what everybody's doing, but we should ask like, okay, how is this forming me? How is this cultivating what I want, or is this making me more anxious? And so I think that's really a good conversation to have. So, all right, everybody throw their phones in the trash.
Our next topic, it's a People article titled, "This neighborhood has banned all cars. Instead, everywhere is walkable in this car-free community." Cul-de-sac, a 16-acre neighborhood in Tempe, Arizona, is the first modern car-free community in the U.S., inspired by architect Daniel Perelec's visits to European coastal villages built before automobiles existed. Construction began in 2019, with residents moving in a few years later. The neighborhood offers a pool, gym, dog park, shops, a Korean convenience store, a doctor's office, a Mexican restaurant, art studios, and a bike shop. I think a Mexican restaurant's all I need, honestly. All within walking distance. Public transportation connects residents to downtown Phoenix and the airport, while an on-site electric car sharing program is available for $5 an hour for longer trips. Beyond convenience, Cul-de-sac was also designed with sustainability and comfort in mind, especially given Arizona's extreme heat. Perelec's team at Opticos painted buildings white and placed them close together to maximize shade and reflect sunlight, resulting in ground temperatures 30 to 40 degrees cooler than surrounding pavement, according to a 2023 Harvard study. Residents like Cheryl Murdoch, a postdoctoral student studying ocean sustainability, say the community has reshaped their preferences toward a 15-minute city lifestyle. With over 600 units currently available and studio rents starting at $1,300 a month, Cul-de-sac demonstrates that car-free living can thrive even in a famously car-dependent region like Phoenix. Do you guys think you could live in a neighborhood like this?
For a season, yes.
Yeah.
Forever, I'm not so sure. I love the idea. I don't know if I love the idea for me necessarily. But what about you, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to it. I mean, the breaking point for me was like how do you get around for longer trips and stuff. But imagine a car sharing program for longer trips, for $5 an hour. Like, it's not bad. I could get a couple different places. But yeah, I mean, I think it sounds a little Truman Show, a little Stepford to me, like the houses and the white and everything. But it's really innovative in a lot of ways. I think it bucks up against, the idea of, I listened to this podcast called Interesting Times from the New York Times. Let's see what they did there. A couple of months ago about why are we still driving cars when it's just statistically a fact that at this point driverless cars cause less accidents than man-made cars. And it was really interesting because they talked about the math of it and the stats of it, but they also said there's something uniquely American about having a vehicle and getting behind the wheel and going where you want to go at the speed you want to go when you want to go. There's just like something that's like tied to our American psyche with freedom and just going. And like the idea that I could get in my car and just drive west all the way to California if I wanted to. And like, that's like really freeing and exciting. And I'm not doing it this afternoon or anything, but like, and so I think that it just bucks up against something in our kind of, I can do whatever I want kind of American kind of psyche that I think has some beauty to it. But it is funny because I think that that's what bumps up against this idea for me is like, no, I want to be able to go where I want to go when I want to go and not have to walk. And I think also this is in Tempe, Arizona.
We're not Indiana weather.
Not Indiana winters and like January 20th or whatever, and like having to 15 minutes is a long 15 minutes if you're walking in some of the terrible
5 degrees.
through a foot of snow and stuff like that. I mean, so I don't know. I would love to visit it, but I can't imagine really doing it. But I'm really curious about Abby too because she picked this article and her husband works for Stellantis, who makes Chrysler vehicles. So I'm like, are you going to get in trouble or put yourself out of the? So what would Lucas, your husband, say about this too? Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really cool. I've always, even when I was learning how to drive, I didn't want to learn how to drive because I was like, I just want to take public transportation everywhere. I don't want I don't want to drive. But we live outside of town now, so that's not even a choice for me. But living in a town like this sounds like it would be so cool. But like Allison said, I think just for a season. I don't think you could live there forever.
So what would be, you guys both said for like a season, but like what would be like the point where you're like, oh, I can't anymore? Like what would you be missing?
Lucas and I have both talked about we want to go on like really long road trips later on in life, and so
I think go with people. Like I don't want to ride share. Get out of my car.
So I think just like living there for a few years, and then when we're ready to go start traveling, we get a car and get an RV and get out of there for a little while. Yeah.
Well, and I love the idea. Instead, like right now, I feel like people go like from your garage into your car to your work parking lot into your office, repeat, backwards. And so this kind of goes from like your front door to your sidewalk to the coffee shop to your neighbors. You see your dog walking people, and I love that. But what would give me pause is like the practicality because I've planned enough events and coordinated enough logistics to know that like I'm not hauling things 15 minutes.
True.
If I have to carry a bunch of stuff, I'm just not doing that. And you have kids in sports and all their stuff. And
just put a baseball bag on their back and have them walk down the field.
Yeah, so I think it just really would depend on the season of life that you were in, really. But I do love the freedom of hopping in my car and whenever I need to. And I know that is... very privileged to be able to do that. Yes,
so.
But again, kind of like the last article, I don't ultimately think that this article is asking like, do you need a car? I think it's asking like, how do we build lives where people actually know each other?
Yeah.
Like they, like they used to in the old days, where you knew your neighbor. But really, like I think we've accidentally engineered like loneliness and isolation because we wave from inside our car or inside our house, instead of knowing people who live next door. So I love, and maybe this is just part of my job too, but I love anything that makes it easier for community to happen naturally. So whether that's, I guess we all go car free or, but I guess the bigger question is, does that mean that it's more isolation free. I don't know, because then I'd be in. But
yeah, because there is that other part where, you know, I know there's all the pictures of people on like subways or on trains where everyone's looking at their phone.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh man, look at this. And then they show a picture from 50 years ago and everybody's reading newspapers or magazines. So like we do find other ways to be around people, but alone together. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting if this has always been a thing, or has technology enabled us to make it more of an infrastructure of us not connecting with people? Has sort of the relics of the pandemic sort of, you know, made us more isolated than ever before? And this is an attempt to, like, you have to rub shoulders with people. You have to, you know, talk to people more and know people more. So that's interesting.
Well, and it's even today, we were at a couple of schools passing out school supplies and different things, and in walked a lady who I recognized, not because I had been in that school before, but because she walks her dog in my neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood knows this dog, because you have to stop and pet the dog. Aww. Because he will quite literally just lay down on the sidewalk. She has to like drag him along. And so that's the only reason why I even recognized her. I didn't know her name. I knew her dog's name. You know, so that just got me thinking again this morning when I saw her. I'm like, man, I need to do a better job at like knowing the people in my space.
Yeah, Jesus says to love your neighbors, and it's hard to love our neighbors when we don't even know their names.
Yes,
right?
Kylo's mom. That's what I yelled when she walked in the room.
To step in the right direction. Yeah.
That's funny. So what's something ridiculous that should be illegal but isn't? Allison said she has a whole list.
I've got a list too.
Okay, I'm
this
like,
is a little bit like
I could rapid fire something.
I haven't
what you got?
had my like what really grinds my gears in a while, so I've got a few.
Oh, okay.
So, the first one that comes to mind is just on the heels of summer concert season, and I love being at concerts where I don't have a seat that closer to the stage. You get in this general admission pit area, so it's kind of a free for all. But if you wait long enough, you can get really close to the stage. And I think it should be illegal to be, you know, behind you in a pit and be like, hey, Samantha, looking towards the front of the stage.
Lies.
And be like, I'm waiting for my friend. My friend's up there. And they sort of snake their way past you.
You're
and
not.
they get right next to the stage. And guess what? There's no Samantha
No.
up front. I need to see picture evidence of the person that
Show
you
me
said
Samantha.
you're coming to see. Because I've seen people walk right in front of me. You got here 20 minutes ago. I'm here for 4 hours. It really grinds my gears. That should be illegal. Another one is group text messages that somehow you get to your phone and you have 73 unread messages in the last 30 minutes.
That's my husband every day.
Like, it's exhausting to look at that and be like, it's been 30 minutes, guys. This has not been a whole couple days. With our little kids, taking them into public restrooms and places, I think that they should outlaw the hand dryers that sound like jet engines, because our boys are always like, can you cover my ears? It's way too loud.
My niece is terrified
bro,
of them too.
they're terrifying. And they sound like jet engines. And I'm like holding Thomas's ears while he's trying to dry his hands. And then he never stays long enough so his hands are dry at all anyway.
Wipe it on your pants.
Wipe them on your pants. Like, I think that should be the next move. But I could go on. People that clap at the end of a flight, like I just feel like
that's
old
our
man
coworker.
about that.
Yeah. I had one for Joel too when I was making my own list. People who stand in doorways. Doorways are transportation lanes. They're not conversation lounges.
I live in the doorway. Didn't know that was.
Normally, he's like, "Can you scoot over here so people can get there?"
Yeah.
So you know, but yeah, you go ahead. We had very similar ones.
Yes. Well, the one that I mentioned earlier, it was in a grocery store. There's basically highway rules. Passing lane, you need to be moving
totally
if you are in that passing lane.
Yes.
Because I get stopped at. Granted, I have been shouted at the grocery store, telling people. Like, people have told me that I walk too fast in the grocery store. I'm like, I have places to be.
On a mission. We have
people are like,
a
you're
list.
moving too fast in the man.
I've had employees go, you need to slow down. I'm like,
no running.
No, I'm not running. I'm just walking through.
Or in Sam's Club or Costco, any of those places that have like
Big bulk stuff.
samples. People who park their shopping cart sideways to get a sample of frozen pizza.
Nope.
Straight to jail. Like, get out of the way. What is happening? But for me too, like leaving your shopping cart in the parking lot, if you can push it around the entire store for the last 35 minutes, you can push it 20 feet to the cart corral.
That's rough, yeah.
and this is probably a very Midwestern one, so I don't know where you people who are listening live, but people who don't wave when I let them through in traffic, I didn't have to
You
let
want
you
the
in.
wave. You want the acknowledgement of the wave.
This is my sacrifice here. Like, just a little courtesy wave, little... watching videos at full volume in a waiting room.
Yeah.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Nothing will send you
Full
straight
volume.
to jail.
You can subtitle that bad boy. Is what
You
you can
really
do.
can.
Or have an earbud in. You can do
Yep.
that too. Yeah.
Bags of chips that are 70% air.
Yeah.
If I wanted to be on a diet, I wouldn't be buying these potato chips.
On the same note of the waving thing, I'm sure there is some law about this, but like when you're at a 4-way stop and the person who got there first waves you on,
Just
you
go
were here first.
Yeah, it's your
just
turn.
follow the traffic
We're
laws.
just trying to be Midwest nice. Like,
I know.
I am giving up my privilege of being first. I'm waving you on. But you were here first. What? There's a rule.
Yeah.
It feels like all becoming a Seinfeld bit. Is
Yes.
what
People who don't use their turn signals, your car, it came with this free lever to show me your intentions.
Yeah,
so I know. I don't have to guess.
Joked on my message on Sunday about Christian bumper stickers, and I heard somebody say once that a really good bad Christian bumper sticker would be, the Lord works in mysterious ways, but your car doesn't have to. Use your turn signal.
Yes,
Use your turn signal.
exactly.
That's incredible.
Exactly. Oh, yes, I could.
Yeah, this
Go
bit
on.
could
Wow,
go on
Allison,
forever.
you really, this could really.
I'm sending everybody to jail.
Wow. I
You
thought
to
I had
jail.
a
You
lot.
go to jail. Not emptying the limp trap. I
Oh,
mean,
oh.
hello?
Yeah, I mean
Are
that
you
could
guilty, Joel?
that could cause a house fire.
I know.
I might have been guilty
You're
of that
guilty?
from time before.
Straight to jail.
I think I'm. Yeah, probably. Megan's gonna write in. And be like,
Yep.
lock him up.
Our final topic today, it's a Relevant magazine article titled David Crowder, Worship and Justice Go Hand in Hand. David Crowder, the Texas-born worship leader known for shaping a generation of church music, believes worship and justice are inseparable. Rather than treating Sunday morning singing as an emotional or aesthetic experience confined to the sanctuary, Crowder insists that music fundamentally rewires how people think and act. Raised in Texarkana across both Southern Baptist and Pentecostal traditions, he credits his upbringing with giving him a broad appreciation for the church's diversity, which shows up in music that bridges liturgical tradition and emotional expression. For Crowder, the real test of worship music isn't whether it feels transcendent in the moment, but whether it changes how people treat their neighbors once they leave the room. Crowder describes the responsibility of writing worship music as terrifying, since song shapes people's conception of God and one another more powerfully than sermons often do. To handle that weight, he leans on community, surrounding himself with people who can challenge his theology and keep his lyrics grounded. He compares worship music to the soundtracks of social movements, arguing that art often articulates cultural change before the rest of society catches up, subtly shifting how people think before they even realize it. Ultimately, Crowder sees himself as utilitarian rather than purely artistic, measuring his songs by their real-world impact. As he puts it, worship's purpose isn't just to move people emotionally, but to transform how they live, making Sunday songs inseparable from Monday's actions. So what did you guys think about Crowder's statement?
I actually resonate with a lot of what he said because, worship in the Bible was never meant to be confined to a room or a Sunday morning. Like repeatedly, the prophets were telling God's people that beautiful songs without transformed lives ring hollow. So I love his question, like what happens after the music stops? Because if what we sing on Sunday never shows up in how we love people on Monday, then we've missed the whole point, really. And that's not to, diminish the emotional experience of worship either, because God can absolutely meet us there. But the fruit of worship should be visible beyond these church walls. So, the real question for me isn't like whether a song moved me in the moment, but did it help me become more like Jesus after a Sunday morning. So I don't know, for me, like him, I think the Bible's full of moments where God says, like, I'm not impressed by your songs if your lives contradict what you're saying. So I appreciate that he's pushing back kind of against the idea that worship's just like an emotional high on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, and then people can be like, "Oh, worship wasn't really good today," or
Yeah.
they're really defining it more from like how they felt in a moment.
Yeah.
How like if did I get the goosebumps? Or
Yeah.
they say the God bumps.
Yeah.
But that's really like the goal of it. Which and what you pointed out all throughout the scriptures from Amos and the prophets to Isaiah to even Jesus, the way he was criticizing the people that were professional worshipers and the way they treated and push people away that were lower on the totem pole. Like, this is just the story that worship is not an emotional moment. It can start and be emotional, but it leads to something. N.T. Wright, a New Testament scholar, talks about what we worship, we become like. And worship, for me, is so powerful because with all the distractions and all of the me-centered things that I've got to do, it can be a corporate time, a collective community time on a Sunday where I'm focused on the most important thing. But it's not focused on the most important thing and just me. It's just me seeing who Jesus is, celebrating who Jesus is, and remembering and adoring and focusing on that so that something else can happen. And that's what worship should lead to in a lot of ways. And for me, I have to think about phrases in the songs that we sing, and I try to broaden it out. I mean, a lot of times we sing songs about how Jesus is King and Lord, and I don't stop in just my thinking of saying like, okay, he's got like a crown on his head. It's not the image, but like to say Jesus is King and Lord means that like he's the boss and he's in charge of me and my thought life, my financial life, my calendar. Like, is it reflecting that Jesus is King in those areas? We sing about how Jesus saves sinners, and we think about how Jesus forgives us, but like, are we people that forgive others too? Is that like, is he the king, and are we following that kingdom way? And so for me, I think oftentimes I have to like widen my understanding of the words so it doesn't become just a personal devotional experience, a warm fuzzy thing. And I love how Crowder talks about it, how it's affecting us on Monday. Because what we adore, what we focus on, we become like that thing. And worship ultimately forms us. It doesn't just move us emotionally, but it forms us to become like Jesus. And so I think this is something that needs to be talked about all the time, because the way that worship is a genre now, the way that there's worship artists, even like David Crowder's a part of, where people have their favorite artists, we treat it like it's just another genre of music and it's another industry. But to think about it from a formation standpoint, how is it changing us and making us feel grateful and making us feel secure so that we can love and we can be more open and more self-giving of ourselves. We don't celebrate God's grace just for us, but we celebrate it to extend it to other people. And that's where I found so much of the power in worship in the last probably 5 to 7 years, honestly. Because the reality is, like, I mean, I love live music, I love concerts, and I used to think that every time in church I got, a goosebumps or something like that, that was the goal, that was the Holy Spirit. Then I went to a U2 concert and got a lot of goosebumps too. And I'm not saying that the Holy Spirit's not there either, but I'm saying, like, there's just a reality of, like, when you put all the weight on an emotional, personal experience, I think we miss the boat on what it's all about. And the Bible's actually, to Allison's point, very corrective in that, and it's pointing us all the time to what the true fruit of worship is, which is loving and serving other people and being transformed so that we can do so. And not just warm and fuzzies, amazing grace.
Yeah.
This feels good because God loves me. He doesn't love you, but he loves me, kind of thing. Like, and that's not the point of it. So I love being challenged by that.
And I think the longer that I work at a church as well, I see like how worship and serving our community really do like belong together. Because if we're singing about God's compassion but ignoring, the foster family or the struggling neighbor or the lonely person sitting by themselves, then for me, something is disconnected. And I'd also add, I guess, that like justice starts closer than we sometimes think. It's not just like this national bigger issue. It's how I treat my husband and my coworkers and the cashier and my neighbor. So, the best worship songs don't just give me goosebumps, like Joel mentioned. Like, they give me a different posture towards people on Monday morning, Tuesday morning. So I think that Crowder is right, because he talks about how songs stick with us longer than sermons. And because I can still remember lyrics from songs 20 years ago, right? But I probably can't tell you
What I talked about.
3
on Sunday.
points from a sermon I heard last month, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why, like, lyric writing, like he talks about, is such a huge responsibility, because we're putting words into people's mouths that they will sing repeatedly, not
Yeah.
just on Sunday morning, but in their car on, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So as someone who preaches occasionally, it's super humbling, because a sermon might be heard one time, you know, but this chorus gets repeated 4 times in one morning, and then again all week and on your playlist. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think it really shapes your theology as well. So it is a huge responsibility for him and other artists like him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's it for this episode of Atypical Talk. If you have any topics or questions, you can send those to atypicaltalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at atypicaltalkpod. And make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform to get updates when new episodes go live. We hope that these conversations today have helped you think wider, love deeper, and partner with God to bring the up there down here in your everyday life. Thanks for listening.